I don't know about you guys, man. Shax is cool as shit now, dude. All the stuff he says is just awesome. I don't even know where that came from. That was just a 10 kill streak, and man, he lost it, dude. And it just, I don't know, something about it, man. He pumps me up now. I'm always ready to kill shit. So today, fellas, we're gonna be touching on No Time to Explain. It's an exotic pulse rifle here in Destiny, one of which a lot of people didn't give a lot of love to, man, because it falls in that archetype, 66 rate of fire, 14 impact. Not a lot of people like that archetype, especially, you know, Red Death and Nerwin's Mercy. Some people used it. The same token, man, it definitely wasn't a thing that was dominating. You saw a lot more Grass Maliks and Hawksaws and Surreal's PDXs and shit like that. But today I wanted to take a look at this because it recently got a 2% buff to its archetype, but it also got Headseeker as an intrinsic perk added to this weapon, which is going to make it pretty damn nasty. But I wanted to know how nasty it actually was. Guys, before we get started, man, if we can go for another 1,000 likes, dude, looks sexy on the video, man. I appreciate all the love and support you guys have been giving me. I just want to keep this train rolling, man. So without further ado, fellas, let's get started. Alright guys, so let's go over a little bit on the inside of this weapon. By the way, if you hear my wife shout in the background, she's in a Crucible match and she gets pretty excited. Anyways, let's look at it. As you see, there's the intrinsic perk there, Headseeker. Across Ballistics, if you look at the impact right there, it is increased. Now, I'm not saying Across Ballistics is what you need to load it on. It's just I wanted to go ahead and load it on Across just to make sure there was nothing just mind-blowing about it. Full auto, which is the perk that comes with this pulse rifle. I'm not a huge fan of full auto, not on this archetype, man. You know, full auto for some of your other, you know, higher impact pulses, maybe. But when it comes to an archetype, it's very manageable to just use without full auto. Of course, you know, you can still lay on that R2 button and it works well for this weapon once you get used to it. But again, it's not something that I just find needs to be on a weapon such as this one. Fitted stock is what I'm rocking with. You can, of course, throw it in hand loaded. I felt like the recoil there was definitely jumpy whenever I didn't have fitted stock on, so I just left it on that. And the rewind, again, precision hits are immediately returned to the magazine. This is really good in sixes when you've got people lining up, man, and you want to just keep melting people and just lay on your R2 button with that full auto effect. And so that works really well. I heard a lot of people talk about PvE, but we're mainly going over PvP today, guys. Alright, so when you first, I don't know, pick up one of these weapons, especially if you normally use like Hawksaw or your Surreal's PDX or especially Grass, it's like a different playstyle, man. It's a little different to get used to, and you've definitely got to compensate for when you actually do miss shots. Not a lot of forgiveness there. With Grass, man, all you have to do is just sit there and just keep spamming. But here with No Time to Explain and weapons of its archetype, it's definitely not nearly as forgiving if you miss any shots. Now, let's talk a little bit about its gameplay, dude. I think that overall, No Time to Explain was already a pretty solid weapon, despite people not using it. I used it a bunch before and would load myself out with it, and I liked using it. Now, with that being said, with me saying that I like using it and I thought it worked well, it's got its place, as in, yes, I'll use it and run it in pubs and run it with some friends and have a pretty good time with it and stuff like that, especially in sixes. But as far as its ability to compete against our other pulse rifles, I still think that this archetype is definitely still lacking. I know some people are out there using Red Death and things like that, and I'm not saying it doesn't work, but whenever you go head to head against something of the caliber of what Grass is, I still don't see this weapon being able to melt Grass faster than what Grass can melt this weapon. Nothing's been done to Grass, man. It's still just as deadly as it was a week ago before we got this update, or a couple days ago before we got this update, man. And so that's one thing that needs to be clarified here. I know a lot of people are real excited about the Headseeker perk, but nothing has unfolded about this weapon to make it a two-bagger. You know, that is the only way it would actually solidly compete against Grass and Malik, man. And you know, I know I'm mentioning Grass a lot, guys, but again, man, Grass has got that 0.8 time to kill, man. And I mean, it's extremely nasty, and a weapon that I mean, I've loaded myself out with. I named it the nastiest pulse rifle, and I named it that for a reason, man. But with that being said, man, what are the things that are really going for no time to explain? It packs a punch, man, a hell of a punch. If you can land those shots, dude, you will eat people alive. Another thing that I really like about it is that exotic perk. Again, like I said, when you get into a situation where enemies are lining up in front of you, just go ahead and just start laying on the R2 button. Lay on it. Now, if you really want to take advantage of no time to explain, if you really want to be good with this weapon, I highly suggest pre-firing when coming around corners. As in, I would not suggest ever putting yourself in a situation that you are not landing the first hits, man. That is just something you're going to get yourself in a bind, man. And so you want to already be pre-firing, even if you're going to spam, because you're going to get back ammo as you land those precision hits. So don't worry about burning too much ammo, man. But you really need to, if you're going to use this a bunch, be ready to learn how to start pre-firing when coming around corners and stuff. So again, guys, I know I kind of downed on it a little bit there and said that it couldn't compete. I'm still using it. I'm still using it right now. It's doing extremely well for me in sixes. Like I said, fellas, a weapon, just because I say that it can't beat out certain weapons, doesn't mean it doesn't work well to your playstyle. Again, if you're going to use this type of pulse rifle, remember to always choose your fights and always back out of situations that you don't get the first initial hits on, because you will not be able to recover. Just the way the things are with this weapon, you will not be able to recover from that. I highly suggest backing out, especially if you're going against a weapon like Grasp or something. Either way it goes, guys, I'm still using it, still rocking it out, having a good time with it. And if anything, if this update did anything, it brought people's attention to this weapon and kind of made people dust it off and get it out of their vault. And I think it's surprising a lot of people, to the point that people realize that this was actually a pretty decent weapon and something that shouldn't have been put down for as long as it's been put down. Well, guys, thanks so much for coming and watching, man. Again, try this pulse out for yourself and just see how it works for you, and you might be pleasantly surprised by it. Either way it goes, fast. Thanks so much. I'll catch y'all later. Slap that like button like your mama told you right.